Crane. Fun fact, in the mountains, people die more often not from falls or wild animals, but from hypothermia. Especially in autumn, this past week, we've had water falling from the sky non-stop. And just 500 meters higher than me in the mountains, there's already snow. And you're like, so where exactly is the fun part in this fun fact? Is damn good question. If you're seeing this video, it means either I managed to build myself a dry, reliable shelter for sleeping in the rain today, or this is Saturday's news chronicle. This is BPS Knives, and tonight we're camping in the rain. Here's the plan for today. First, I need to find a resource-rich, safe, and preferably dry spot and build a shelter there to spend the night. I won't be using a raincoat. I won't be using a tarp either. Of course, there's always a chance I'll mess up. I don't really want to die out here, so if things get bad, I might crawl into my rain poncho. But the plan is to get through the night without it. I need to find a location with plenty of resources, because survival is always about resources. The more materials I have to build with, and the easier they are to get, the faster I can put my shelter together. According to the forecast, it should start raining in about 2 to 3 hours, so ideally, I want to gather all my resources before then to minimize moving around in the wet forest. And ideally I want to get a fire going. This thing here is what I call a ready-made structure. Specifically, it's a fallen tree. Situations you can use immediately like this are called ready-made structures. The tree has fallen, I can crawl under it right away, and I already have a roof. I just need to make walls on the opposite side. Maybe I'll cover this side where my legs will be. I'll set up a fire near my face. As for roofing materials, I have enough because I can take this tree apart. Firewood, though, a bit scarce. In the Carpathians, finding dry wood isn't really a problem. The challenge is finding dry wood that I can dismantle and move. That's the key detail. I have a saw with me, so I can dismantle some parts, break some by hand, and cut some. The resources are there, but they're a bit spread out, so I'll have to move around more than I'd like. I've checked the surroundings, and this spot is the best I've found so far. Let me explain the principle I use to choose locations, because there's a cool method. There are a lot of concepts for picking a spot, but I like the 5 W's because it's simple. You sequentially look at 5 important parameters: water, wind, wood, wildlife, and widowmaker. In this context, water isn't just a resource, it's also a danger. How much could I get flooded? Ideally, you'd find a huge, sprawling tree and hide under it, but I didn't find one. How much could I be affected by water? Am I in a low spot? I'm on a slope, and there are ferns. Ferns indicate that there's a lot of moisture here. Water as a resource? None. That's my problem. Ideally, I'd go further, find a water source and settle nearby. But I'm not sure I'll find a tree like this again or enough firewood. So for today, it's better to make do, maybe collect rainwater and look for a water source tomorrow rather than risk wasting today. No one really knows the perfect way to spend the night in the wild. Moving on, wood. In this context, wood means a building resource for building the shelter and for firewood. Honestly, for roofing, it doesn't really matter what I use. It could be wet, rotten, or even just leaves from the ground. It just needs to be dense enough and plentiful enough. So wood, check. Next, wind. How exposed is this location? I'm not in a drafty spot. There are no strong winds here. Wind. I just hope it doesn't change overnight. But in any case, the wind isn't too strong here, and there's a place for the smoke to go. Check. Next, wildlife. I haven't seen any animal trails here. The only drop-ins I found were from roe deer, which isn't a problem, and that's about it. No berries around, and I don't see any mushrooms that might attract animals. Check. The last one is the widowmaker. A widowmaker is any danger from above. Dead trees, huge branches, anything that could fall on my head. Here I see this branch, pretty dangerous, could fall on my shelter. That branch too, and that dead tree. I'm not sure if I can bring it down, but if I can, it would be perfect. Ready firewood, and maybe even a bed platform. Okay, about the widowmaker, I'm not too happy because there's plenty that could fall on me, but we work with what we have. And I don't have that much time. I'm not sure I'll get to make a proper bed platform. A bed platform is essential. Without it, I'd lose a lot of heat to the ground, but especially through wet soil. That doesn't mean I'll be sleeping on the ground. I'm considering sleeping on my backpack. It's a pretty large 100-liter pack with a thick insulated back panel, so it can serve as an improvised bed platform. So right now I'm putting all my effort into building a solid fire base to help me create a dry shelter. How do I see this working? All of this here won't be needed. It can go into the shelter instead. So I'll either break this off or saw it, and I think I'll lie down right here. I think this spot will work. Ah, found some nettles. Check this out.
Ось це якось відламаю або відпиляю. І лягати, я думаю, ось сюди. Крапиву знайшов.
Just a quick check. I basically have a proper shelter. What really worries me is whether this big branch might fall on me.
Я, в принципі, маю повноцінне укриття.
In theory, it shouldn't, at least because its center of gravity is over there, and most of the tree is lying that way. On one side, sure, but on the other, you never really know. Anyway, for now, this is the best spot to prepare the fire area and start building the coal base. After that, we'll gather resources for the shelter and get the shelter built, and for the rest of the daylight, we gather firewood for the whole night. I'm trying to collect birch bark in advance. It's one of the best fire starters you can get, well, at least around here. And part of the birch bark I'm collecting now will go towards starting the fire immediately, and part will go into an emergency stash. I usually keep the emergency stash under the bed platform, so it stays completely dry. That's in case, or when, I wake up in the middle of the night feeling cold or the fire has gone out. So I can relight it really quickly. I broke off this branch over there. It went all the way down to the ground. For some reason, I didn't remove it properly. I just pulled it and it came off. By all measures, this counts as really good firewood because good firewood is either hanging or standing. This one was hanging and the bark came off. I want to show you how I saw it.
Ось ця історія у нас висіла, і з неї злізла кора. Але на що я вас тут зібрав? Хочу показати, як
Start cutting somewhere around here and saw it all the way through. By the way, this is a Bakul Plander saw. I really like it.
і повністю її перепилювати.
Logically, you'd think to saw it like this, but in practice, it's more efficient to do it like that. Saw a bit from the top, stepped back, saw a bit from the bottom to create a little step.
The
trick is that this step,
it
breaks off.
Прикол в чому? Прикол в
If
тому,
you're
що якраз
curious,
по цій
this type
ступенці
of fire is called a TP.
воно відламується.
Its trick is that it lets you dry out wet firewood and gives a lot of light, but the wood burns very quickly. 1 hour before sunset, it started raining. I'm not really worried, because I did the most important thing. I got the fire going. I was nervous. I wasn't sure I could light it, especially in the rain. That's why I started it earlier than I probably should have. Better to have a bigger coal base than a smaller one. It got to burn a bit, so it'll have the strength to withstand this rain. Hopefully it won't get any heavier. Now I'll start gathering materials for the shelter. Sunset. It's pretty dark inside the shelter, though you can still see a bit outside. I need to shift my priority to firewood now, because this fire is still burning a little. While there's still some light, while I can still see, I want to ideally find 2 or 3 big logs that I can keep burning through the night. I'm not sure if I'll manage it, but if I do, that'll be awesome. After that, I'll get back to the shelter. I've definitely closed off some parts. Most of it is covered, but I can feel a little draft. Well, there's a huge opening, you can see it. A bit of wind, and I can still see spots where rain could get in.
Ключове в зірці те, щоб її промені були розставлені одна відносно одної. Взагалі, напишіть в коментарях, якщо вам цікаво про типи багаття, зробимо окреме відео.
And this is what my shelter looks like from behind. By the way, here's a clear example of why I always say camps should be marked. This is a flashlight currently on the camera. I hang it above the camp, so it's visible. Because if you step 20 or 30 meters away, that's it. It blends right in with the wilderness. You know what I forgot? About these things here. The problem isn't that I might hit my head on them, but when it rains, water will run down them. They absolutely need to be cut down. I can't pull them out, so I'll have to... I don't know how well you can hear this, but it's raining. The fire is still holding, thankfully. I'm really counting on it because without it, it's very cold. It went out twice already, and man, it's cold. I woke up freezing and had to stoke it back up. Luckily, the charcoal base is good, it burned really well. But right now, I don't want to put it out, and I don't have much firewood left. So far, most of the night has been easy. I don't think the downpour will last long. I need to set something to catch water in a cup. I can do this in the dark now. The key with a start fire is to make sure the logs are spaced correctly relative to each other. By the way, leave a comment if you're curious about types of fires, which we could make a separate video about it. I even fell into a deep sleep twice. At this point, I'm ready to summarize. It's noticeably darker and colder now. I'm shifting my focus to gathering firewood. Ideally, I want to find 2 or 3 big logs that I can keep burning through the night. But we'll see how it goes. After that, I'll get back to the shelter. Morning. Half of the night was dry and the other half was like now, but overall the night was quite comfortable. One of the more comfortable nights. I even fell into a deep sleep twice. At this point, I'm ready to summarize. First point, time. Time is everything. The earlier you realize you're in an emergency, the earlier you start building a fire, forming a charcoal base, and constructing shelter, the more time you'll have, the more room for mistakes, and the more comfortable you'll be. Comfort matters. Second point, location. Location is critical because survival always comes down to resources. I was lucky here because I immediately found plenty of dry firewood. In just 2 trips, I collected everything I burned non-stop from yesterday evening at 5 until today at 11. These are still the same logs. I didn't look for new ones. It could be a cave, a fallen tree that's wedged, anything you can either improve or use as is. With fallen trees, the key is safety. Make sure they won't crush you. They could break and fall. In my case, I climbed on it, inspected it, and most of the trunk and crown lie downhill. Even if it breaks, it'll fall away and won't crush me. That's why I chose to stay. But seriously, triple or quadruple check safety. It's better to spend extra time building a more secure shelter than to risk getting crushed once. Third point, gear. Tourists often get lost, but are easier to find. They usually have a raincoat. Mushroom pickers get lost less, but are harder to locate. They also have a raincoat. Nowadays, with waterproof gear, tents, ponchos, raincoats, it's not a problem to spend the night in the rain. Even in a critical situation, if exhausted, I can curl up under a tree and cover myself with a tent or raincoat for as long as needed. It's a matter of comfort, not survival. Even without a raincoat, building a shelter is doable. You can get under a tree canopy. The real critical point is fire. Fire is essential. Warm and dry clothing is great, but without it, you'll freeze. Without a way to disinfect water, you could die. So fire is non-negotiable. My fire was started with an adventurer knife from BPS Knives. I love this knife. Great tool for survival, bushcraft, fire building. It's exactly what you need. It comes with a ferro rod. Ferro rods are reliable, but if you're a tourist, a lighter is enough. If you're a bushcrafter or survivalist, a ferro rod is great, but always have backup lighters. I love the ferro rod for the experience and culture it brings. I carry 5 lighters, spread across pockets and packs. Rain isn't a verdict. You can survive it. It's not as bad as it seems, especially today with good, reliable gear. That's it. Love you, take care of yourself in the forest, buy good knives from BPS Knives, and see you in the next videos.